I have spent many years ensuring the safety of American presidents, business leaders, and celebrities. My profession has made me a witness to countless special moments, historic events, and unexpected encounters. Yet, some moments etch themselves into your memory, refusing to fade even after years pass. This is the story of an unforgettable day I experienced firsthand with President Donald Trump. That day, President Trump had a packed schedule from the early morning. He had left Trump Tower in New York, attended several important business meetings, and was now heading to the city center for a private lunch. It was one of those gloomy days. The sky was overcast, and the streets were crowded as usual. Among the masses were rushing businessmen, tourists, street performers, and the homeless. This was New York, a city where luxury and poverty coexisted. That day, the president's plan was to meet old friends and explore a new investment opportunity. As his close protection team, we moved ahead of him, scanning the area, ensuring security, and preparing for any potential threats. The restaurant he was heading to was a short distance down Fifth Avenue. As we continued our security sweep, something unexpected happened. President Trump's focus shifted. He always noticed crowds, but this time his gaze fixed on a particular spot. He slowed his pace, his eyes locked on something or someone. We followed his line of sight and saw an elderly woman sitting on the sidewalk. She was wrapped in an old blanket, her clothes worn and tattered, holding a small cardboard cup, hoping for help from passers-by. But what truly caught Trump's attention was the sign she was holding. Written in bold letters, it read, "I am a veteran. Please help." Trump's expression changed instantly. His usual composed demeanor hardened, and his steps slowed. We immediately scanned the surroundings, noticing that the crowd was beginning to gather. People pulled out their phones to record. Some clapped, while others scoffed, shouting, "He's just putting on a show." Trump, however, ignored them all. Leaning slightly toward us, he spoke in a firm yet calm tone. "Hold on, I want to talk to her." This wasn't typical for him. His schedule was always tight, meticulously planned. But now, something had shifted within him. In the middle of the bustling city, amidst the countless faces, one had struck a chord. He walked towards her. We followed closely, staying alert. Trump knelt slightly, lowering his voice to a gentle tone. "Tell me, how did you end up here?" The woman hesitated at first, then slowly lifted her head. When she recognized the man standing in front of her, her eyes widened with shock. Clearing her throat, she spoke in a weak yet steady voice. "A few years ago, I had a normal life, sir. My husband and I ran a small restaurant. Business wasn't great, but we managed. Then my husband got sick, cancer. We spent all our savings on his treatment. Our insurance wasn't enough, and our debts kept growing. When he passed away, I had nothing left." Trump nodded slightly, but the woman wasn't finished. Her voice trembled but grew stronger. "But that wasn't the only reason I ended up here." Trump's eyes sharpened with curiosity. The woman inhaled deeply before continuing. "I joined the Navy in 1990, sir. I served as a nurse during the Gulf War, treating wounded soldiers on the battlefield. I watched young men bleed out in front of me, held their hands as they spoke their final words. When my service ended, I returned to civilian life, but nothing was the same anymore. My husband passed away, the debts piled up, my health insurance was insufficient. I applied for assistance, but the system failed me. I worked as long as I could, but in the end, I ended up on the streets." Trump's jaw tightened. His frustration was evident. He had always been a staunch supporter of the military and deeply respected veterans. Yet, here was living proof of how the system had abandoned one of its own. "This isn't acceptable," he muttered, his voice firm. "No one deserves this, especially not someone who has served this country." The woman averted her gaze, lowering her voice. "Do you really care about me, sir?" Trump nodded slowly. "Everyone matters. Sometimes, even the smallest act of kindness can change a life." Then, without hesitation, he reached into his pocket, pulled out his wallet and took out all the cash he had. He placed it in front of the woman. She looked at him with teary eyes, her expression a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. "Sir, this is too much. I only wanted enough for a sandwich," she whispered. Trump smiled gently and knelt down to meet her gaze. "Today, you deserve more than just a sandwich." Then, turning towards us, he gave a firm command. "Take care of this lady. Get her a warm meal. Find her a place to stay. If needed, put her up in a hotel for a few days. Find a charity or an organization that can help her long term." We sprang into action immediately. Meanwhile, the crowd had swelled even larger. Some people clapped, genuinely moved by what they had witnessed. Others remained skeptical, debating whether it was real or just a publicity stunt. A few were live streaming the moment, capturing it for the world to see. The woman wiped her tears away, then reached out and held Trump's hands. "God bless you, sir," she whispered. Trump simply nodded, then turned and walked away. He was a man who often sparked controversy, a leader who divided opinions. But that day, no matter what anyone said, he had demonstrated how a simple act of kindness could change someone's life. And I, someone who had been by his side for years, would never forget that moment. Because true strength is not just about wealth or power. It is about the kindness in one's heart. And so, even years later, I share this story with you.